What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of Last Take. I'm Stanzo here with Bert. Just reminding you guys, if you're watching this, please smash that subscribe button down below. It is free. The only downside is it does mean seeing more of our faces, but if you've made it this far, then give us a chance.
Yeah. And big note, give D'Angelo Williams a follow on Twitter. He's the jersey I'm wearing today. Big Madden league in 2010 ran for him with 600 yards or 6,000 yards, 72 touchdowns on the season. Very overrated player, but he was good in Madden that one year, so I'm a big fan. I bought his jersey. A very mistake purchase. But go D'Angelo Williams, give him a follow.
I think we just lost at least 2 subscribers there.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
All right, so to open this one up, Sunday Night Football last night, really great game between the Raiders and the Chiefs. Raiders offense looked good. Derek Carr, he was a guy that had MVP aspirations a few seasons ago before he got hurt. Then really was kind of looking like a guy where you weren't sure whether or not he was ever going to actually turn into the answer for the Raiders. But now in year 2 under Gruden, he looks great. That offense looked crisp. I know he had the turnover with the pick to end the game, but that was just of having to force it because they didn't have enough time left on the clock to get into field goal range. So he was great all night. That Raiders offense was unbelievable. But the takeaway is you can't give Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs any amount of time. 2 minutes is too much time. I mean, he just, I know that he has these weapons on offense, and that's great, but just the things he does, his playmaking abilities, it's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I don't know how much of the game you caught, but were you able to see anything, or what's your takeaway?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it's just weird that John Gruden seems to be this Patrick Mahomes kryptonite. I mean, I know they lost the game, but, I mean, obviously they won the last time. And it's just odd to me how, like, they can't seem to – it's always a competitive game, and I don't know if it speaks to how good the Raiders surprisingly are. Like, I think that people – expected them to be something, but now, I mean, like, they're a competitive team every week, and I think they're 6-4 now with the loss to the Chiefs. So I'm more impressed by the Raiders' ability to keep with the Chiefs consistently. Like, it wasn't clearly the win they had wasn't a fluke, and I think that's the biggest takeaway from this. I don't think there's much to take away. The Chiefs are one of the best teams in the league, if not the best. They're always going to find a way to win. And it's like you said, you can't give Patrick Mahomes any wiggle room, and they let that happen. But my biggest takeaway is that the Raiders, I think, are legit, and I think they rebuilt faster than a lot of people give them credit for.
Yeah, especially with coming into that game, there was the news that the Chiefs were pretty unsettled about. Apparently, Gruden had the bus driver do victory laps around Arrowhead after the last game, which is so hilarious. And I love John Gruden. He's probably my favorite person in the entire NFL. But if you can have a team like the Chiefs, motivated, coming off a loss to the Raiders in the previous matchup on Sunday Night Football, and I still think the Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl. I can't. I will refuse to believe that anyone's going to beat them until I actually see it. I know the Steelers are great. There's other teams out there. But to be able to go toe-to-toe with them, beat them at their own place, and then, be a 2-minute drill away from beating them again and sweeping the season series, that's definitely impressive for the Raiders. So huge there. Other biggest news of the day, Joe Burrow tearing his, ACL, MCL. Basically, his knee is basically fucked.
The knee. He tore the knee.
No, I believe the medical term is knee is fucked. You really hate to see that. I mean, he's a guy that came in and right away, I thought he would be good just given how great he was at LSU last year, but I thought it would be a transition for him going from that LSU offense with all those weapons around him to the Bengals, who no one's been able to fix in, decades really. I mean, Dalton and Palmer have been, have put up productive seasons, but no one's ever been able to get them to that next level. And right away, Joe Burrow was, really coming in and making some noise with that offense. So really hate to see it. What's your takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's nothing good about it. I guess if you want to try to find a positive, it confirms the tank for the Bengals. Like, maybe they can get another high pick, get a line to actually now, or a good lineman, like a left tackle who covers blindside to actually protect them, because their line is atrocious. Which again also speaks testament to how good Joe Burrow is. He's doing he was having a rookie of the year type year. I mean, who knows who it would have been? It's going to be Herbert now, but who knows? I mean, Burrow had a great case. And he was doing that behind a really bad offensive line. He had talented receivers, but you still got to make the throw. So I mean, just really sad to see it. But this season wasn't much for him anyway. It was a learning experience. I think he got a lot out of it. Obviously, you just wish him a speedy recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. Other news around the league. So in the 1 o'clock hour, you had the Ravens blowing lead to the Titans. Derrick Henry with the game-winning touchdown in overtime. The Ravens have been called frauds by many, including, I believe, both of us on this show. So are they confirmed frauds?
Absolutely. Did you see that both now? Their running game is everything to them, especially now that the rest of their team is just falling apart. But now Ingram tested positive and Dobbins tested positive. So
I didn't even see that Dobbins tested positive.
Yeah, so they're both positive. I mean, so that puts them out for at least next week, if not the following week, depending on their positive negative test. So I mean, Lamar Jackson has got to prove something.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't in the next few weeks without his top two running backs, I mean, I think you can lock them in as frauds, not for this year, but not just for this year, but I think for the following few years, because I mean, clearly teams have adjusted to Lamar Jackson, and he hasn't learned. He hasn't learned when he needs to throw. His timing is off, his accuracy is off. I mean, Mark Andrews had his first big game of the year. He's been pretty much irrelevant. Marquise Brown, or wait, no, is it Marquise Hollywood Brown? Is it Marquise his first name?
Yeah.
Yes, he's been irrelevant all year. I mean, Willie Snead is always irrelevant, but he's been especially irrelevant this year. So it's really tough for the Ravens. I think they're locked in as frauds. I don't see them doing anything. I mean, if they even make the playoffs, I don't see them doing anything in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do respect Lamar Jackson for, we do this thing as sports fans where when an athlete gives a dry, textbook PR-esque answer, you're like, oh, just be honest. But then when they're honest, we crush them. Lamar Jackson has been brutally honest the past 2 weeks. First of all, last week saying the other team, other teams have figured out our offense. They're calling out our plays at the line of scrimmage. And then after the Titans game yesterday, he was saying that they just wanted it more than us, which, I mean, is pretty much a fact. If you look how that game played out, the Titans just wanted it more than the Ravens. I mean, if that wasn't the case, the Ravens don't blow that lead. So respect to him for being honest. At the same time, the Ravens have too much talent to be, this mediocre, because at this point in time, I really do think that's what it is. They are mediocre, especially in the AFC, where we mentioned the Chiefs and the Raiders. There's a lot of good teams in that conference, and they're not going to cut it the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, the Ravens are well past those moral victories, being honest. I think if you're the Jets or some team like that, maybe even the Chargers, oh, great, we got a guy to own up. That's great for the future. No, for the Ravens, the future is now. I don't care how honest Lamar Jackson is. That's cool to see a superstar do that, but he's got to turn it into something productive on the field.
Absolutely.
And it's got to be now, because their window is right now.
Absolutely. Speaking of the Jets and the Chargers, just real quick to touch on, we saw a matchup between an unstoppable force, which was the Jets tanking in their quest for Trevor Lawrence and potentially going 0-16, meet an immovable object, which is the Chargers attempting to blow a fourth quarter lead. So turns out that the Jets tank is stronger than the Chargers' ability to blow games, although the Jets did cover the spread.
Yeah, that was the question of the week is who can be worse? And congrats to the Jets, you guys won. If you want to even consider that a moral victory.
Yeah, I guess that's I know Jets fans are rooting for that to happen. But Jets players, I mean, man, Frank Gore literally said he's played for a billion years. It would really suck to go out on the note of an 0-16 season playing for Adam Gase. But so
yeah, you definitely Adam Gase is gonna find some weird positive to it, Chris Herndon finally caught a touchdown. It's dude, you're 0-10. Just know you're getting fired, accept it, and just stop talking. Don't do anything. Don't even show up to the next game. Just watch the next 6 games from the press box or something. Act like you're the coach. Everyone knows you're not going to be here next year. Everyone knows Trevor Lawrence is going to be there next year. So just have a nice ride out, relax. You just take this time as paid time off for Adam Gase, because it's over for him.
He's got to find the level up from hyperdrive. Like whatever that next level is, if he can push a lever, he's got to do that. But time's running out here, so we'll see. And then last note on the NFL, Packers-Colts, the marquee 4 o'clock matchup. Colts edging out the Packers. Couple key turnovers for the Packers at the end. You hate to see fans coming after MBS on Twitter for that fumble. Packers are another team that I just can't really get a read on. Like, it seems like they, some days they look like they're Super Bowl bound. Other days they look kind of middle of the pack. My biggest takeaway from this game, though, was that when the Colts were trying to ice the game, they took, no joke, I got to fact check the amount. It was 9 holding penalties. It was at the point where the Packers were just declining the penalties because they would rather have the down, like, instead of the 10 yards. Like, it was actually unbelievable. I'd never seen anything like it. It was a flag on every single play.
I saw that. I was like, by that point, I was like kind of like half watching, half like paying attention. And I was just like looked up every like 10 seconds. I'm like, oh, flag. All right, wait, what the hell is going on here? It was really weird. I mean, could you consider it a strategy? Like, remember Vrabel, the Titans head coach, like he took like those like penalties to try to control the clock a little more.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it was a little weird. I will say though, the Colts defense is legit. Rivers is playing surprisingly well. So I mean, the Colts have a lot to hang their hat on. I think the Packers, Rodgers is playing really well. Devontae Adams is playing really well. But I think their problem is that they have like a momentum issue. When they're going, and they're one of the best teams in the league. But when things start going the other team's way, they just like press on the brakes. Like, they cannot get out of their own head. Like, they make mistakes. They get costly penalties. Rodgers even starts missing throws. People have costly drops. Like, they get the line breaks down. And I don't know if it stems all the way back to like the Jordan Love pick, but I feel like Rodgers is playing for himself. He's not playing for the team, and I think that it kind of comes to bite them when it's time for when the odds are against them in the terms of like, okay, the coach just scored. The coach just scored again. Rodgers, we need you to go. I feel like he's just like I'm just gonna try to look good. What's best for him. Try to do what makes him look good. I don't know. I feel like it really halts their offense, and I think that stems all the way back to the Jordan Love pick.
Yeah, I mean, that pick was a slap in the face if you look at it. I mean, yeah, he's got Devontae Adams, but that offense has limited weapons, and you have Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, on an offense with limited weapons. And you would think that they would have used that draft pick to get someone to help them, whether it be a lineman or receiver or whatever, and they didn't. So definitely a slap in the face. But no, I mean, I almost put the Packers in the Seahawks category of all great quarterbacks that feel like they have too much on their shoulders because their defense is absolutely unpredictable as far as how many points they're going to give up that day.
Yeah, I just feel like Rodgers checks out, at certain points. Like when like they had like I think it was like midway through the fourth quarter, they had like 7 offensive plays in the second half. Like, it was something crazy. And I just feel like that's just Rodgers just like being like, whatever, this clearly isn't my team anymore. So I'm just going to try to make the throws I know how to make. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I just feel like he doesn't really care as much as, he used to. And I think that kind of halts their momentum a lot of the time, which is why you saw them really bad against the Bucs, and why I think you kind of saw them start to play really bad towards the end of the game yesterday.
Yep. Yeah. So moving on to NBA, free agency, haven't really seen anything too crazy so far. Gordon Hayward opts out of his Celtics contract, gets paid by the Hornets. I saw ESPN tweet out like a potential starting 5 if MJ were to come out of retirement, which is just listen. I know ESPN, and Bleacher Report, they've always had their quota of clickbaity things to post on the internet, but like I feel like, I don't know if you feel the same way, over the past few years, it's just gotten pathetic. Like, it's pathetic the things they post. Like, I want to say, like, you're ESPN. Like, what are you doing? Like, you have like, I don't know. You were the worldwide leader at one point. Like, can you maybe like just give me the news instead of trying to, like, it's just pathetic.
No, they're trying very hard to be young. They're like the dad who makes like the dad jokes, and it just doesn't work like ever. I think they have maybe like 3 funny tweets in the history of ESPN.
ESPN is literally the "How do you do, fellow kids?" That's literally them. And then Bleacher Report will just take like the video and just recycle the same like 4 captions. Like it'll be like LeBron James. That's it. That's the tweet. It's like, yeah, you've tweeted that 27 fucking times this month. We get it, Bleacher Report.
Or they do in the all caps, unreal.
Yeah.
And like that's it. and it'll be like a Donovan Mitchell like step back 3, and they'll just be like unreal at via Jazz.
It's like,
like sick.
So anyway, that made me laugh. But nothing crazy out of free agency. NBA draft, Anthony Edwards goes number 1, even though he pretty much said he doesn't really like basketball. He just knows he's good at it, which is wild. My favorite thing to come out of draft night, though, so LaMelo Ball goes 3 to the Hornets, and LeVar Ball posts a tweet. It's a picture of himself with his arms crossed, and it's like saying, like, congrats, Melo. But, like, it's a picture of him, which is just so perfectly LeVar Ball. I know a lot of people hate him and he pisses people off, but I just think his entire shtick and like big baller, small baller is absolutely hilarious.
Oh, it's crazy to think that he literally thinks he can beat Michael Jordan. And I don't think that that's just like a publicity stunt. Like, I actually think that he firmly believes in his mind that he can beat Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Like this guy actually thinks he thinks he can post him up, do like one of those like hezzy fake moves, go over the top, hit him with a hook shot, and he'll do that like 7 times in a row and beat Michael Jordan like 7-4. Like
the Stephen A. LeVar Ball interview where they're just going back and forth, and he's saying like in the annals of history, you think about MJ and LeVar, and Stephen A. is just flabbergasted, going, "Ain't nobody talking about no damn LeVar." Is like all time stuff. And then they're asking him like, who would win 1-on-1, you or Zion? He's saying Zion is not strong enough. Just like outlandish claims. I love that. Only other thing too, Knicks took Obi Toppin at 8, which I went into the draft saying nobody will excite me. This is a weak draft, and that's honestly true. Even if they traded up to 1, I wouldn't think like we're back. There was no Zion out there this year, like number 1 slam dunk. But to be able to say ain't no stopping Obi Toppin for the next, hopefully at least couple of years, is going to be a really fun time.
And I think it's big that you have someone that's excited to be there. You know, I feel like RJ Barrett said he was like, "Oh, I'm excited to be a Knick," but like it wasn't the same vibe. It was kind of like, okay, clearly, like he wanted to, you know, be like a number 1 overall pick aspect, you know, like, but he was in too strong of a draft class, and I feel like he kind of felt like defaulted to the Knicks. But Obi Toppin seems really excited to be, you know, a part of like the New York Knicks rebuild. And I think that's more exciting than the RJ Barrett pick last year. Someone who like really wants to be there, which is like probably the first time you've had that in a really long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, with RJ, you know, I do love him. I think he's going to be a big piece for the future. But you're right. He's a guy who went from, you know, playing alongside Zion at Duke to the Knicks, where he's not really the kind of player that's going to turn. Not that there's any player literally alive that could turn around the Knicks, you know, instantly. But, you know,
Julius Randle.
My point. Yeah. Oh, Julius Randle. Don't even get me started on that guy. But Obi Toppin is pretty cool that he's a local guy. You know, he was playing point guard on JV as like a 6'2" junior and ended up carving his way into becoming, you know, the college basketball player of the year and getting drafted. So regardless, at best, he's a Amar'e Stoudemire 2.0. At worst, you can throw him in the trash heap with Kevin Knox and pretty much every Knicks draft pick over the past 20 years. But he's definitely a guy that's easy to get behind and root for, so I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah, and in terms of the rest of the draft, is the tank kind of back on for the Warriors now that Clay's out? Like, what I mean, like that kind of threw a wrench in their plans. I heard someone on WFAN today just screaming about teams tanking because he's like, it was the basketball gods yelling at the Warriors that they went for the tank, and it blew up in their face when Clay got hurt. And it was Maggie and Moose, and they were like, okay, relax, because he was like screaming. But like he kind of makes a point, like you can't really rely too much on the tank. Like it works better in the NFL because you know where you're gonna pick. But like there wasn't anyone that crazy in this draft, and like now the Warriors are kind of in a weird position where it's like, okay, now what do we do? Like with our whole plan was for Curry and Clay and I guess Draymond Green to be a part of, you know, this this kind of sort of second dynasty within their dynasty, and kind of starting to rekindle a little bit with a good second overall pick. And now it's just kind of in the middle of nowhere. So I think they're kind of in a weird limbo for this year. And I mean, hopefully Curry can kind of put the MVP back on his shoulders, but it's weird.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, like as guilty as a lot of teams are for tanking, like I mean, the Sixers literally did it for years and called it the process. Like it was legitimately obvious. You know, the Warriors were a team coming off of 3 championships, 4 appearances, and they were kind of forced into the tank. I mean, Clay had already hurt himself in the previous finals. He was done for the year. Steph hurt himself, ended up being out for a couple of months. Whether you want to argue that he could have came back sooner than he did, I'll agree with you. But still, I mean, what is a team centered around Draymond Green really going to do? Like, they're not going to make the playoffs even. It's like, what were they supposed to do? Bring in talent to try and compete? I don't really blame them for saying, like, you know what, like next year we'll get back Steph and Clay fully healthy. And if we get the, a high draft pick to supplement that, which is exactly what Wiseman, in theory is going to do, then so be it. So, yeah, I mean, I think it was a unique situation all around. As frustrating as tanking is, for them to say that the tanking gods got to the Warriors is pretty unbelievable. But, I mean, that's on par with pretty much every WFAN call you'll ever hear.
Yeah, I heard that. I'm like, he's kind of making a point, but no. But, yeah, I do want to touch on Oklahoma City having, I think, every draft pick for the next 10 years. It feels a lot like in Always Sunny when Charlie is in the mailroom and just like connecting all the dots. I feel like they think like, oh, I got a 2024 pick here. I got a 2023 pick here. I got a 2022 first round pick here. Like, I feel like Sam Presti would honestly trade his mom for like a second round, like 2025 second.
Yeah.
Like at this point, like it is crazy. And it's a great attempt because I think they're going to use the first few years of it to actually get good talent and then use the rest of the first round draft picks to, trade for premier talent with it. But I'm interested to see where they go with that.
The crazy thing is they already have a good amount of young talent there. Like they were a playoff team this year. So now after, on the heels of the Westbrook, George, and now CP3 trades, I'm pretty sure like the 2024 draft is just going to be the Thunder showing up and like giving a list of 60 players that they'd like and then submitting that to Adam Silver, and that's the draft. Like they have so many picks, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're going to do a mail-in vote system. Did you want to touch on Rutgers?
Yeah, just really quick. Rutgers triple overtime defeat at the hands of Michigan. Heartbreaking. They've come a long way since my sophomore year, losing at home 78-0 to Michigan. So that's the silver lining. I know they say moral victories don't count when you're a Rutgers sports fan. They absolutely do. They're finally showing that they actually belong in the Big Ten. They've showed that in basketball the past few years. Year one under Schiano, they've made instant progress. I really want them to win and stick it to Harbaugh since he's such an asshole for going for 2 in the middle of that 78-0 game a couple years ago. But, whatever. I think they definitely made a statement. They had a crazy trick play in double overtime that ended up working. I wish they would have used that in the first overtime so that they could have won the game. But it is what it is. Rutgers is back, baby. The Big Ten is scared. They may not be showing it, but they're terrified.
Yeah, as someone who's not too invested in the Rutgers season at all, it's exciting to see them good again. So I'm pumped to see it from an outside source.
Appreciate that note. All right, so with Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday, we just thought we would throw out a couple of metaphors between NFL players, teams, coaches, and the holiday. So, Rob, you want to get us started?
Yeah. It feels like I'm doing like a slam poetry thing, but this is the first one. Carson Wentz is like a dry turkey because you spend a lot of time and money waiting for it to be good, and it turns out to be an incredible disappointment.
Yeah.
Can you put the laugh track in that?
Yeah, no, the Friends laugh track is blasting right now. But no, Carson Wentz, it's funny because the same thing with him and Turkey is that you would expect both of them. You only need them to be good like once a year, and neither of them are. So
never good.
No. So another one I have, and this one comes from a personal place in my heart. Taysom Hill is the gravy to Drew Brees' mashed potatoes. You don't need it. It just kind of piggybacks onto the GOAT. I think mashed potatoes are one of the best sides of all time, just like Drew Brees is one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Gravy, wildly unnecessary. Taysom Hill, wildly unnecessary. And don't give me that he just beat the Falcons. Like, yeah, let's throw him a parade. He threw 1 touchdown against the Falcons. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Taysom Hill sucks. The only reason he plays is because Sean Payton has some kind of weird fetish for him. You don't need him on the Saints, and you don't need gravy on your mashed potatoes.
Yeah, how many other plates does Gravy work on? How many other offenses would Taysom Hill work on?
Exactly. Literally, what are you going to put? Like, if Taysom Hill was on the Giants, what are you going to do? Like, it's stupid.
He could probably punt.
He probably can punt.
Why not at this point?
Throw it in there.
I got Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson are like the grandma and aunt of Thanksgiving dinner, because even though the grandma wants to act like she's running dinner, we'd rather just let Russ cook.
I love that. Yeah, no, same thing. Pete, get out of the way.
Just let the aunt cook, grandma.
The Lions are the same as the kid that's looking to leave the kids' table. Every year the Lions show up thinking, all right, this is the year. Like, we're going to have a big Thanksgiving game. We're going to use that momentum, go to the playoffs. Every year they just fall short. It's like the 10-year-old that comes in every year thinking, can I sit at the adult table? No, you're stuck at the kids' table. So the Lions are perpetually stuck at the kids' table in the NFL, just like the same kids are always stuck at the kids' table every year at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and they put them on the 1 o'clock game. I don't want to watch the Lions punt 9 times in a row. Just call it. Stay at the kids' table.
And you're so excited too. You're like, oh, Thanksgiving football's on, and then you just watch fucking 35 punts in a row, and it's like, what are we doing?
Oh, great! Another 3rd and 12 screen pass. Awesome.
Yeah, for as great as the NBA is, where they're like, we're gonna play like our 10 best teams, like all marquee matchups. The NFL's like Detroit Lions every single year. Like, let's go.
You guys love Thanksgiving? Well, here's the fucking Detroit Lions.
Yeah, do you love football? Here's the worst team in football.
Here's the least exciting team for the past 15 years.
Yeah, are you excited for NFL on Thanksgiving? Well, fucking don't be, because you're watching the Detroit Lions.
Turn the TV off, go eat dinner with your family, huh?
Yeah, literally. I think it was just a scheme to make people actually talk to their family.
Next one I got is Joe Flacco is like the turkey leftovers that when you reheat it the next day, it just isn't the same. Super Bowl MVP, New York Jets.
Yeah.
Not the same.
Okay, I'll give you that. Reheating leftovers is not the move. But counterpoint to that, Tom Brady is like the leftover sandwich. You throw some turkey, little cranberry sauce, get some nice bread, maybe throw a little stuffing in there if you're feeling wild. The leftover sandwich, it could be 2, 3, 4 days after Thanksgiving, and you're thinking, this isn't going to taste good soon. I'm getting sick of having turkey, 24 hours a day. Just like Tom Brady, it's like he's 43. He shouldn't be winning football games anymore and potentially going to the Super Bowl. But here he is. So Tom Brady is the Thanksgiving leftover sandwich of the NFL because he just never gets old.
Yeah, and staying on quarterbacks, Justin Herbert is like those stuffed mushrooms that your uncle makes for the first time. That is actually surprisingly really good.
Yeah, stuffed mushrooms, good. Justin Herbert, good. No
first timers.
There. Yeah, for sure.
And last one I got, the ham at Thanksgiving is every fullback ever, especially CJ Ham. For those who don't know who he is, by the way, fullback, Pro Bowl fullback for the Minnesota Vikings. Look him up. Ask Google.
You could have told me he was made up, and I would have believed you. But thanks for following along with those upper level metaphors. To finish up, stay tuned for our sketch of the CBS Thanksgiving pregame show, where instead of previewing the football games, they're going to be previewing the Johnson family's Thanksgiving dinner. So definitely check that out. Want to wish all 6 of our subscribers a happy Thanksgiving. Really appreciate you guys.
Yep. Stay safe.
Later.
Welcome to the CBS Thanksgiving Dinner pregame show. I'm Ernie here with Jersey Joe. Most of you just finished watching the Washington football team versus the Dallas Cowboys, so hopefully you still have your appetite because tonight is one of the biggest meals of the year. Joe, what do you think about the Johnson family tonight?
Well, Ern, one thing to keep an eye on, newly 21-year-old cousin Patrick coming off his first Thanksgiving Eve. Now, keep in mind, bars are closed due to the pandemic. He was able to have a small get-together in his buddy's basement, had an impressive pace, 5 fireball shots in the first hour, did puke at 9:15, was only gone from the party for about 3 minutes, talked to a girl, did not get her number, but also didn't creep her out. So Patrick with a good performance last night, but it's going to be interesting to see how he battles that first 21-year-old hangover on Thanksgiving Day. But knowing this kid in his spunk, I think he's going to bring it, Aaron.
All right, Jersey, what's the vibe with the adults tonight?
Well, Aaron, the matchup to look at once again, Aunt Jean versus Uncle Jim. This married couple are always at each other's throats. Sometime during the appetizers, look for her to make a comment such as, "Why are you always like this around my family?" He'll respond back with, "We're always with your family." Things should escalate from there. Everyone's going to have a tough time getting the mini hot dogs down without feeling at least a little uncomfortable and pretending to talk about the game as if they actually care. Look for that to progress into a few glasses of whiskey for Uncle Jim, a few glasses of wine for Aunt Jean. Sloppy Thanksgiving kitchen makeout session should be sometime around 5 p.m. We'll see how that plays out.
You can't wait to see that. And of course, the most important part, what are we thinking about the food here?
Well, Ern, unfortunately, I have a major concern when it comes to dinner. The host's newly divorced cousin invited himself over and volunteered to bring the turkey. Fatal flaw, if you're asking me if you're the host. You can't trust a first-time guest with something as big as the turkey. It's like volunteering Andy Dalton to go in for Dak Prescott and assuming nothing will change. It's just not going to work out. My guess, he forgets entirely, shops at the store on Thanksgiving morning, ends up picking up a rotisserie chicken because it's quote-unquote already done. Just not going to work out. Everyone's going to get upset about it, but no one will mention it until the ride home.
You can see it, the writing's already on the wall. All right, Jersey, who do you got for the big winners tonight?
Well, Ern, at the end of the day, the biggest winner is going to be whoever takes home the most leftovers. Now, as the night wraps up, expect to hear the classic excuses such as, "I'm going on a diet tomorrow," or "I have too much food at home." Nobody needs any of that bullshit. Everyone wants to take home a bunch of leftovers and have a fat turkey sandwich on Friday morning. So we're going to see who wants it the most, Ern.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Let's head over to dinner now.